Hello, welcome to Retrocore, and today we're taking a look at the Lepau Z1 Series Type-C portable display. A 15.6 inch display that you can carry around with you. So let's take a look and see what contents are in the box. Straight away you can see we get a screen protector. Very nice. And some documentation. The first is a pretty in-depth manual that goes into telling you how to connect up various devices to the display. As you can see, it mainly focuses on connecting another computer, but also we can set up different items such as game consoles and, as you can see there, a switch. The other manual we have is basically just a quick start guide. Great big massive version of some of the pages taken out of the main manual. Yep, even how to connect the switch. First accessory we see is the power brick. Now this power brick is strong enough to power the monitor and the Nintendo Switch. It's rated up to 3 amps max and has a USB output. Next up we have the monitor, but we'll take a look at that in a moment. First let's take a look at what cables we get. So we've got a USB-C to USB-C cable, USB-C to full-size HDMI cable, some screen cleaning wipes, and a USB to USB-C charging cable. And this one's got that snazzy orange end tip on it. Very nice. So here we are taking a look at the main event, the actual monitor. And as you can see, it comes in this lovely, silky feeling slip case with 2 speaker holes at the top. And yes, it does feel very nice. Quality. And the best thing is, it is magnetic, so it sticks to the metal base of the actual monitor. Quite a nice little feature. And if you haven't guessed, it doubles up as a stand. I wonder if you set it up this way. Yeah, maybe not. No, that's not how you set it up. I'll show you how to set it up in a moment. So along the left side of the monitor we have 3 buttons. The 2 end ones being the volume and the middle one being the selector. And 2 USB-C ports, with the bottom one being the power and the top one being the input. Be sure not to get those mixed up. Around the right hand side we've got absolutely nothing. And the same goes for the bottom of the device and also around the top of the device. So yes, no full-size HDMI input here. On the back of the device we have the 2 speaker grills, and yes, this is in stereo. You do get stereo sound, which is quite nice. And some little details there. The back of the device is fully metal, got a nice cool feel to the touch. Same thing with the frame around the front. Right, let's get rid of this screensaver. So let's take a look at setting up the slipcase as a stand. It's actually fairly easy to do. As I mentioned, it is fully magnetic, and as you can see at the bottom we have 2 strips, and these 2 strips are where you would place your monitor into depending on which angle you'd like the monitor to stand at. So what you do is you just fold down the back like this, connect the top part to the top of the monitor using the magnets, and there you go. I think the second slot is probably the best viewing angle, to be honest. Now it does look a bit floppy, but it is quite sturdy. And when you're finished, just fold over the flap and you've got yourself a nice hard protective case for your screen. And don't worry, you still get the sound out of the back of those 2 speaker grills. Now you may be wondering, what sort of setup can you use this Lepau monitor for? Well, how about using it as a dual monitor with a laptop? Yes, so as you can see we've got our Dell laptop here, and what we're going to do is set this up as a dual monitor system, so we can have one thing playing on the laptop screen and something else on the Lepau screen. Now, as you can see, the color difference on the Lepau to the Dell is quite startling. The Lepau looks a lot better, a lot more vibrant than the actual monitor on the Dell PC. And as you can see, the lapel is currently running in 1080p, so full HD there. So just think, you may be out and about and you want to do some work, but you also want to watch a bit of YouTube. So this is where your dual monitor setup comes in handy. You've got YouTube playing on one screen and do your work on the other screen. Now unfortunately I've got these back to front. This should be the other way around, but the way the cabling's set up at the moment, I'm going to have to do it this way. But yeah, as you can see, we've got Microsoft Word over there on the lapel screen, and we've got a YouTube playing on the Dell. Now the sound is actually coming through the lapel in this case. So let's turn up the volume and have a listen to how it is. Yeah, not too bad. Let's make sure we got the volume switched up on the YouTube video as well. And there you go. Pretty decent stereo sound out of the lapel monitor. Not too shabby. This week on Battle of the Ports, we are taking a look at Data East's Fighters History Dynamite, the sequel to the famous game that Capcom tried to sue Data East over. Now I just want to show you how good this lapel monitor is compared to the Dell PC here. Just look how vibrant this video looks running on the lapel monitor. Much more higher fidelity, sharper image quality than what we had on the Dell. It looks so much better. Instead of 6 buttons, due to it running on Neo Geo hardware. It mostly refines the gameplay from the first game, with movements being much smoother and putting more focus on combos. Much like in the first game, each character... Now the manual to this monitor makes a big deal about using a Switch or the game console on it. So let's see how it works. So first of all, make sure you've got your power into the monitor, and then your USB-C cable comes from the monitor and plugs into your Switch. Now what this will do is actually power the monitor and charge the Switch. So the Switch will appear on the monitor now and be charged, as you can see. Now because of this, it also means that the Switch is now thinking it's in its dock and it's going to output a 1080p signal. Let's just put these controllers into the separate control unit. Now I'm sure a lot of people would like to know what type of picture options are available on this monitor. So let's take a look at the menus. So at the moment I've got it set up as standard. This is how it is coming out of the box. And as you can clearly see, that is a very nice picture on there. 1080p coming from the Switch. So the first option we got here is to change the different inputs. Type C1, C2 or HDMI. We've also got this option here to change the color tone on it, but we'll keep that down to basically 0 standard. And we also got an HDR mode. Yes, this is an HDR compatible screen, but you know, Switch doesn't have HDR, so it doesn't work. It just goes a bit iffy when you switch it on. So what we can also do is change the language. So let's put it into English. Usual options there, we got the transparency for the on-screen display and the on-screen display timer. You know, standard options, nothing too special. So let's go back out of there by pressing by holding in the center button. Here you can see we can change the color temperature. We've got it on user at the moment, but you can have warm, cool, and that's about it. But you can set the color temperature to anything you want by modifying the blue, green and red values. We've got an eco mode and DCR mode and aspect ratio as well. Now aspect ratio is pretty cool for those devices that are 4:16:9, but they should be 4:3. So that's a very nice option to have on there. And of course we've got the standard brightness, contrast and black levels. In fact, let me adjust the black levels here and you can see how much well, brighter it looks. But if you knock them back down to standard, you do get a very nice crisp black level. Now it's not OLED standards, but for an IPS LCD panel, they are very nice indeed. And while we're here, let's just mess with the contrast and see what that does. Yeah, it's getting a little bit too bloated there, I think. And let's knock that brightness, basically the backlight, all the way up to 100. Oh yeah, that is pretty bright. And of course you can knock it all the way down as well for nighttime viewing. Something else that people might be interested in knowing is how is the screen when you view it on certain angles. Well, as you can see here, I'm viewing it on extreme angles from the side and it's still perfectly viewable. Of course, straight on is perfectly viewable as well. Up above, yep, you can still see it. And even viewing from down below, you can see it perfectly fine at that angle as well. So yes, this screen does have a very nice wide field of view. Now, one thing a lot of people will want to know is how laggy is this monitor? Does it make your games unplayable? Well, I don't actually have a scientific way of measuring this, but I can show you me pressing the button and the character reacting on screen, and as you can see, it is pretty instant. In fact, playing it on this monitor and playing it on the actual Switch screen feels exactly the same to me. No difference whatsoever. So, in my opinion, as far as gameplay is concerned and the way the game feels, it's exactly the same as playing on the Switch, but now on a much bigger and, I'm going to say, much cleaner and better looking screen. Now, there is actually a reason why I bought this monitor, is because I wanted to connect it up to my camera's HDMI video out. You know, my eyes are getting old now and I can't really see the screen on the back of the camera very clearly without having to take my glasses off all the time, which is very inconvenient. But unfortunately, I don't have a micro HDMI to USB-C cable, which is a bit of a bummer. So yeah, only full-size USB, which is a trick this monitor is missing. So now I'm going to have to go and get myself a converter cable. And there we have it, the Le Pau monitor. I'm very happy with my purchase, especially with the frame being made of metal. Gives me a nice bit of peace of mind when carrying it about all over the place. Now, there is space for the HDMI full-size port on the side, but unfortunately we only get these two USB-C inputs. Also, you better be careful not to mix up the power with the inputs. You don't want to do that. But yeah, it would have been nice to have the extra HDMI on there full size. The mat or the case that it comes with is very good. I like the way it's magnetic and it doubles up as a pretty substantial stand. Link in the video description down below if you're interested.